Hadirin yang dihormati, sukacita dimaklumkan bahawa majlis kita akan bermula sebentar lagi. Sehubung dengan itu, mohon kerjasama para hadirin untuk mengambil tempat duduk masing-masing di pohon juga. Jasa baik dan perhatian para hadirin bagi perkara-perkara berikut sepanjang majlis berlangsung. Sentiasa memakai pelitup muka, memastikan telefon bimbit berada dalam keadaan tetapan mod senyap dan memenuhkan tempat duduk di ruang hadapan Dewan. Terima kasih. Sekali lagi, diminta hadirin memenuhi tempat duduk di ruang hadapan Dewan. Dipersilakan pada hadirin duduk di hadapan. Sekali lagi diundang para hadirin untuk memenuhi tempat duduk di ruang hadapan Dewan. Terima kasih. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera dan salam keluarga Malaysia. Selamat datang ke Majlis Pelancaran Dasar Bioteknologi Negara 2.0. Sebagai pembuka tirai, majlis akan dimulakan dengan sesi menyingkap tabir Dasar Bioteknologi Negara 2.0 oleh Yang Berbahagia Dato' Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman bin Hassan Timbalan Ketua Setiausaha Pembangunan Teknologi, Sains, Teknologi dan Inovasi MOSTI. Dipersilakan.
Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Lawrence, pengacara majlis atau pengacara sesi kita pada pagi ini. Saya like to welcome everybody, mainly bahasa Melayu, tapi sebab terbiasa saya akan gunakan sedikit-sedikit lah ya untuk especially terms. Saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua yang dapat hadir, datuk-datuk, profesor semua, rakan-rakan lama yang berkecimpung dalam bidang bioteknologi ini, sektor yang dah lama Malaysia fokus dan kita insyaAllah in the next few hours we'll see the focus of bioteknologi kita ke arah yang lebih membawa kepada kemakmuran negara, especially dalam bidang sosioekonomi. So I'm not going to actually, nama tajuk ataupun tajuk kepada my talk is about menyingkap tabir of DBN 2.0. Which means it's just going to be some teaser for this afternoon punya launch by Yang Amat Perdana Menteri, dan I hope everybody will stay on until 3 o'clock. Saya percaya dewan kita ni akan dihadiri lagi oleh dengan lebih ramai lagi peserta-peserta ataupun pemain-pemain industri akan turut sama pada petang ni. Untuk makluman semua, bioteknologi ini mungkin kalau kita lihat pemain-pemain ataupun graduates, I myself is, mungkin ramai yang tak tahu, is a graduate of Bioteknologi from UPM back in 1995. So back in 1995, ada beberapa universiti yang pada masa itu di antara pioneer membangunkan program bioteknologi, which basically is a, so to speak, cross-cutting of microbiology, some industrial design, some agricultural punya technology, even some form of exposure to industry in the future. So ramailah masa tu, kita tak berapa, mungkin ada satu peluang yang baik untuk pemain-pemain atau pelajar-pelajar menceburi bidang tersebut. Dan antara yang pelajar yang tertarik untuk turut serta dalam mengambil jurusan tersebut ialah saya lah. Tapi saya sekarang ni bukan, saya sekarang di Kementerian Sains, Teknologi dan Inovasi sebagai orang kata apa, pentadbir, pembangun polisi dan berkaitan dengannya di kementerian. Tapi we see that there are a lot more of out there pelajar-pelajar bioteknologi kita yang masih boleh melaksanakan banyak program-program. Kalau kita lihat dekat belakang sana tu kan, pemamer yang kita jemput, contohnya dalam bidang agriculture, health dan juga industri, kebanyakan mereka ataupun ramai juga di kalangan mereka adalah pelajar-pelajar yang graduate-nya daripada bidang yang berkaitan dengan bioteknologi, atau walaupun bukan mungkin fokus dalam degree dalam bioteknologi. So this is where I'm coming from, and dalam tempoh 15 tahun ataupun 17 tahun sejak saya diperkenalkan dasar ini pada 2005, 10 years after, macam contohnya saya dan rakan-rakan saya yang graduated 1995, dasar ini diperkenalkan. Tapi before that, the efforts daripada kalangan kata apa, penggiat dalam bidang ini daripada akademia, industri dan sebagainya. Contohnya macam Prof. Rofina kan, Datuk Asma, ramai lagi Prof. Khatijah mungkin akan masuk kejap lagi. Ramai yang Prof. Raha dan sebagainya memang sudah pun kembali daripada luar negara menimba ilmu dan cuba membangunkan bidang ini. Dan dasar ini diperkenalkan pada back in 2005, mempunyai sasaran-sasaran yang very, doable at that time. At that time, when we want to achieve 2020 vision, the country ataupun the estimate of the projection of GDP growth was a double-digit one. So although we realized, the government realized masa tu, we will not be in that trend towards 2020 pun, mungkin ada ups and down, but in general, the targets of 2020 punya dasar dan juga wawasan 2020 adalah selari untuk kita capai 5% sumbangan KDNK dan contohnya 280,000 peluang pekerjaan, global companies to be available towards keluar negara daripada negara kita Malaysia. Dan pencapaian yang kita kongsikan sini adalah hasil daripada kajian impact yang kita buat. Mungkin akan ramai yang melihat, mungkin ada yang bersuara sinis. 2.1%, not even 5%. Not even 50% of the 5% KDNK target, isn't it? So, kenapa kita masih sibuk-sibuk hendak membangunkan lagi? Kalau mungkin baik kita spend our efforts into other sectors. Mungkin ada pandangan demikian. But you know what? 2.1% is not amount, it's a small percentage in terms of GDP. Walaupun tak capai by that 15 years period, we have developed a lot of and cemented a lot of asas-asas untuk kita lonjakkan lagi. Kalau kita dah spend a lot of efforts dan investment and networking and sebagainya, globally included, kenapa kita nak stop? So we have to actually focus on more opportunities moving forward. That is where we're coming from, looking at the various dasar dan kerajaan introduced. Dan this is one of those yang we have the fundamental infrastructure, talent, policy makers included, and industry players also, and also funding. So we're looking into those aspects moving forward. So we realize all the cabaran yang saya share kat sini, pencapaian yang bertindih, yang tidak sepadu antara institusi keuangan dan sokongan untuk masuk keuangan, maklumat yang kurang kita kongsikan antara institutions, academia included, and also industries, mungkin because of PNC, because of industry secret dan sebagainya. We have also this issue of program yang tidak mampan atau yang susah untuk kita kekalkan, issues related to funding, especially maybe perhaps because of changes in I don't know whether it's changes in the way policy is implemented because of the changes in the government dan sebagainya, kurang pembiayaan yang berterusan, early stage, value of death that are critical, not just in biotechnology sector lah, semua tempat pun. Perpindahan Bioeconomy Corp at one time affected. I mean, we realize Bioeconomy Corp is the engine or the institution that was supposed to actually move the industry and gel the industry forward. Dan bila dia berpindah ke Kementerian MAFI, we felt that void lah. So that was one of the cabaran towards the end of the implementation of the dasar. Well, these are the trends of biotechnology lately. We're looking at potensi of biodiversity kepada ekonomi dan masyarakat. We're talking about not a huge potentials of trillions of dollars estimated at the global level sehingga 2040. 60% daripada input fizikal dunia boleh dibuat menggunakan kaedah biologi. Contohnya apabila kita menggunakan cell tissue culture ataupun kita bangunkan enzim yang boleh mempercepatkan, bertindak sebagai catalyst dalam menghasilkan palm kernel expeller. Because palm kernel expeller, kalau kita nak treat it better, penguraian dan sebagainya, menghasilkan makanan ruminant for example, atau makanan boiler chicken, require specific enzymes to do that. 45% daripada beban penyakit dunia dapat kita tangani in the next 10 years, 20 years or so. 30% daripada R&D sektor swasta akan dibelanjakan dalam industri berkaitan bioteknologi itu sendiri. So we're talking about the global players looking at the potential of industry players to come together juga. Dan 4 bidang tumpuan bioinovasi saya share kat sini, biomedicine, biomachine, biosystem, komputeran bio dan sebagainya. These are all in the documents of DBN 2.0 yang I'm giving sort of a teaser so that it excites everybody and urge everybody to realize that we have this big potential to capture. These are technologies sedia ada dalam masa hadapan. On the left side of technologies sedia ada, I'm going to show everybody us here that teknologi yang berkaitan dengan fourth industrial revolution, termasuk bioteknologi yang kita gabungkan dengan digital. Contohnya when we do modeling, saya buat PhD di Carnegie Mellon University. So we did a lot of, that faculty is basically a lot of modeling simulations. We have this motto that we model life, we model real life, and then we translate it. So for example, you can even model our own cells, mitochondria, and all those kind of interactions within the cell, and then you translate it into apa yang dikatakan sebagai pilot ataupun lab scale. Then you save more time in facing because a lot of obstacles in doing developmental work. So that is basically the use of digital and digitalization and a lot of machine learning into biotechnology. That's very much possible. So dasar yang kita akan launch pada hari ini insyaAllah memang memfokuskan kepada melengkapkan ciri-ciri 4IR dalam sektor yang saya sebutkan tadi. I want to actually move around, tapi ada kursi kat sini macam tak betul lah sini. So, saya terpaksa duduk kat sini lah ya. So kita tunjuk kat sini bioteknologi. Dengan lain-lain teknologi sedia ada, sensor dan sebagainya, drone. Kalau kita bergerak ke hadapan, these are just a few of those things yang kita boleh as a whole of a nation, industri dan sebagainya bergerak bersama-sama. Genetic computing with supercomputer, quantum computing kita boleh laksanakan, kita boleh cepatkan lagi genetic study, penstoran data of DNA, bahan yang berbentuk biomimicry, mimetic, sensor yang boleh biodegrade. Sebab kenapa kita nak just focus on conventional material kalau kita boleh menggunakan elemen biology ataupun bio-based products that will lower the nations atau the global pressure on the climate. So a lot of this boleh kita gunakan bersama-sama dengan bioteknologi moving forward. Everybody, maybe I'm not saying everybody, but most of us here, maybe 90% of people atau audience dalam dewan ini pernah melihat ataupun tahu sangatlah berkenaan 10 on 10 MySTIA. Dan kita gunakan My 10 on 10 STIA ini untuk memastikan technology drivers that are within our, so to speak, understanding, full knowledge about it. Kita ada talent on it. Ini adalah selari dengan apa yang dikatakan pergerakan ataupun trend global in the next years, 10 or 20 years or so. Akademi Sains Malaysia melaksanakan satu kajian teknologi Outlook 2050, and teknologi ada dalam itu. Kita fokuskan kepada 10 teknologi drivers ini untuk kita bolehkan socio-economic areas ataupun sectors digerakkan menggunakan teknologi drivers ini. So what we do in relation to biotechnology is to see how the specific of subsets of technology, bioscience, biotechnology digunakan across the socio-economic sectors yang tenaga, business and financial services, culture, arts, medical, agriculture, food security dan sebagainya. Bagi sesiapa yang biasa dalam bidang bioteknologi ini dan mungkin fokus kepada teknologi yang tersenarai, plant biofactories, synthetic biology dan sebagainya, these are the potentials of the use of these biosciences technologies dalam mengendalikan atau memastikan kita boleh membangunkan bidang-bidang ataupun addressing the issues di peringkat socio-economic sectors. Subdisiplin inilah yang kita boleh juga tumpukan untuk kita bangunkan bakat. Oleh kerana itulah, kalau saya bagi teaser sedikit dalam dasar Bioteknologi Negara 2.0, kita nak pastikan certain big percentage of graduates dalam bidang bioteknologi related will be certified as technologies dalam bio. Those yang experts yang boleh kalau perlu digunakan oleh industri, they are the ones that industry should be hiring lah. So these are the areas yang a lot of opportunities that we can focus on. So what we looking at in relation to 2.0 punya dasar bioteknologi negara, kita panggil 2.0 lah. Kita tak nak panggil 2030, 2022, 2020, 2030. Nanti kita akan lihat bagaimana kita leapfrog daripada peringkat pertama, fasa-fasa, 3 fasa dan dasar bioteknologi negara pertama kita masih kekalkan apa yang dipanggil sebagai 3 tonggak utama dalam DBN yang pertama dahulu. Kerana itulah versi ataupun dimension 2.0 diperkenal ataupun disebutkan supaya dia lebih kita tak larilah daripada asas yang saya telah sebutkan awal tadi yang kita boleh teruskan. Kalau tidak kita nak panggil 22-30 macam seolah-olah tempoh saja berpersambungan tetapi fokusnya mungkin berlainan. Tidak, kita masih ada fokus yang sama tapi kita kuatkan lagi. Inilah yang kita nak direalisasikan sepenuhnya di bawah landscape tabi urus yang pertamanya. Yang keduanya kita akan lihat bagaimana DBN ini menyokong pelbagai dasar-dasar lain termasuklah supaya struktur tabi urus institusi yang diperkenalkan sebagai infrastruktur utama juga berada di bawah dasar dan pengendalian ataupun kawaslia yang sama di bawah satu kementerian, tapi yang akan menghubungkan lain-lain kementerian dan lain-lain fokus sektor di bawah sektor-sektor ekonomi yang lain. Yang ketiganya, kita berikan tumpuan kepada sasaran bioteknologi untuk impact yang fokus kepada perusahaan ataupun industri bio-based dan tidak meninggalkan inovasi sosial. Kerana kalau kita lihat, mungkinlah orang akan kata agriculture country, agrarian country that is based on agricultural commodity, bergantung sangat banyak kepada menghasilkan produk-produk yang tidak memerlukan teknologi tinggi. Tapi kenapa kita tidak beri peluang ataupun kita kuatkan lagi inovasi yang ada di peringkat sosial untuk menggunakan bioteknologi. Kalau saya boleh share sekejap sedikit dalam lawatan kementerian ke negara-negara lain, ke India contohnya, di mana mereka kat sana tu banyak inovasi-inovasi di peringkat akar umbi yang dibangunkan ataupun dipertingkatkan keupayaan ubat-ubatan tradisional mereka. Contohnya menggunakan teknologi bioteknologi, menggunakan teknologi nanoteknologi untuk menghasilkan ataupun ekstrak, contohnya herba lah. They extract more of the potent potential ingredients ataupun active ingredients dalam herba itu menggunakan bioteknologi membantu golongan-golongan ataupun kumpulan di bawah yang melaksanakan inovasi di peringkat akar umbi. Yang kenapa kita perlukan DBN 2.0 juga, yang keempat faktornya ialah kita nak satu padukan ataupun integratekan ke semua players, pemain dalam sektor industri bioteknologi di peringkat persekutuan negeri dalam satu platform dasar. Dan inilah yang kita lihat bagaimana banyak infrastruktur yang berada dalam ataupun tertubuhnya institusi-institusi yang memang niat murninya bagus, tapi we need to have this integrated. Daripada utara Perlis pun ada Bioteknologi Park Malaysia, Biotek so to speak institution, walaupun bukan milik kerajaan negeri. Di Johor ada Johor Biotek Corporation. Di Sarawak ada Sarawak Related Biodiversity Center. Malah di Sabah ada Sabah Biodiversity Center related to bioteknologi. Ada di semua tempat ataupun di semua negeri, hampir ke semuanya yang boleh kita dekatkan bersama, integrate the policy and the moving forward focus areas. Going towards the end of teasing ataupun menyingkap tabir 2.0. Dasar yang pertama ataupun yang terdahulu bergerak ke 2.0. Saya tak naklah sebut yang ke-4 atau ke-5 perkara yang lama. Kita fokus ke depan. Kita akan pastikan insya-Allah pelaksanaan dasar dilakukan melalui pendekatan kitaran. So apabila kita laksanakan apa dipanggil review dan sebagainya ataupun kita laksanakan program, kita tidak bersifat linear, gerak ke depan, tidak melihat ke belakang apa yang dah berlaku. Kita akan sentiasa melihat kalau ada peluang-peluang untuk membangunkan projek-projek yang mungkin pernah kita bangunkan dahulu dan kita improve as in a circularity manner. After all, the circular economy is the buzzword, not just now. It was introduced like maybe 5-10 years ago, circular economy. So we're looking at implementing it dalam kadar-kadar dasar yang ada dalam dasar ini secara dalam bentuk circular, bukan linear. Kita akan tekankan kepentingan pembiayaan yang dipacu oleh industri. Kita dah tubuhkan mungkin dalam discussion forum nanti akan lebih dikupas Malaysia Science Endowment. Bagaimana Malaysia Science Endowment boleh kita invite atau jemput pihak-pihak industri untuk sama-sama menyumbang bagi melaksanakan R&D contohnya. Kita akan gariskan, kita telah kenal pasti keperluan untuk membangunkan bakat yang khusus dalam subset bioteknologi seperti yang saya sharekan tadi. Banyak bidang-bidang yang boleh kita certify. Kita berikan tumpuan kepada program perdana. Kita ada 5 program perdana. Saya tak boleh nak share kat sini. Nanti bila dah launch, akan nampak 5 program perdana tu. Dan everybody, stakeholders, industri yang ada dalam Malaysia dan mungkin partnering with our regional ataupun even global partners, we can actually improve, enhance keupayaan, peluang untuk kita berjaya dalam 5 program perdana. Kita ada 5 program perdana dalam dasar ini. Dan kita pastikan seperti sebutkan tadi, suatu tabik urus yang integrate antara bioteknologi dengan pelbagai bidang teknologi lain. Bukanlah kita kata entirely suatu tabik urus tertumpu bioteknologi sahaja dan dasar yang lama, tetapi ada banyak gap antara saya sebutkan tadi, contohnya dengan sektor-sektor dalam 4IR teknologi. Kenapa biosensor tidak begitu banyak kita dengar digunakan di Malaysia ataupun dalam negara, sedangkan di tempat lain banyak untuk kegunaan tersebut. Jadi 3 sektor utama di BN 2.0 ini seperti yang saya sebutkan tadi adalah masih menumpukan kepada 3 tonggak utama, tapi kita dah realize the importance and the significance of linking those 3 pillars sebelum ini kepada isu-isu semasa dan akan datang. Jadi sebab itu bioteknologi pertanian kita fokus pada jaminan makanan juga, bioteknologi kesihatan dan kesejahteraan kita adakan bersama, kerana wellness is not just penjagaan kesihatan is not just about preventing, it's also about ensuring kehidupan secara menyeluruh lebih sejahtera. Perindustrian dan ekonomi kitaran. Kita bukan hanya industrial bioteknologi, but the focus is ataupun the extension of it is towards making sure that we utilize our resources optimally. Maknanya kalau ada peluang untuk kita gunakan orang kata bahan-bahan yang mungkin pada satu-satu keadaan tidak begitu menarik, kita boleh gunakan semula. Sebagai contoh, sebab may share, apabila kita melaksanakan life cycle analysis, kan, life cycle analysis means that kita lihat bagaimana peluang untuk kita gunakan ke semua produk-produk dalam satu kitaran. Ada 2 kaedah kalau saya boleh share bagaimana kita nak allocate sesuatu emissions contohnya. Sama ada kita allocatekan kepada produk byproduct itu digunakan dalam industri lain, dan kita gunakan credits yang diperolehi dalam industri lain tersebut dalam produk kita. Contohnya dalam palm oil, glycerol kan yang dihasilkan daripada palm oil production boleh digunakan dalam biodiesel. So the life cycles of palm biodiesel becomes better in terms of emissions because we are using the glycerol in the biodiesel sector. So that's how we say about industrial biotechnology that expands further, not just into that focused technology. So these are the 5, so to speak, strategic trust yang kita ada dalam dasar bioteknologi negara 2.0 ini. This is the last slide that I'm teasing the 2.0. Saya tak boleh nak share apa boleh detail-detail, nanti insya-Allah akan dimaklumkan sasaran-sasaran utamanya dalam majlis perancangan petang ini. So stay on. Ekosistem tabik urus, R&D and inovasi serta bakat, pembiayaan yang dipacu oleh industri yang saya sebutkan tadi, pembangunan perusahaan yang berteknologi yang lebih mantap, dan juga program perdana, ada 5 program perdana dan teknologi masa depan. InsyaAllah kita akan announcekan. So I hope stay on the forum yang ada selepas ini yang akan memberi peluang untuk kita bertanya juga. Saya rasa untuk Q&A ni tak ada untuk saya punya session ni. Saya hanya cuba menyingkap, melihat ke belakang sedikit dan menyingkap sedikit peluang-peluang yang insya-Allah kita sebagai sebuah negara boleh bergerak dengan lebih baik lagi. So with that, I thank you everybody for coming again to this today's whole session ataupun until the afternoon, bukan sampai malam ni, tak ada. Stay on sampai ke petang. InsyaAllah kita sama-sama sebagai satu kumpulan yang lebih besar dalam bentuk ini. So sekian, terima kasih. Ucapkan sekali lagi Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Terima kasih yang berbahagia Dato' Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman bin Hassan atas ucapan tadi. Begitulah sedikit preview dasar bioteknologi negara 2.0 Sebagai makluman hadirin sekalian, dokumen dasar ini boleh dimuat turun bermula hari ini dari laman web MOSTI. Para hadirin yang dihormati sekalian, majlis diteruskan dengan sesi forum. Forum pada hari ini bertajuk Bioteknologi ke arah negara berteknologi tinggi. Apakah kita di landasan yang betul? Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, mari kita teruskan dengan sesi forum yang akan mengupas dengan lebih mendalam mengenai dasar bioteknologi negara 2.0 dan peranan yang dimainkan oleh semua pihak dalam mencapai aspirasi ini. Tanpa membuang masa, kita teruskan dengan sesi forum dasar bioteknologi negara 2.0 dengan menjemput dan mempersilakan moderator kita yang berusaha Dr. Nagulendran Kangayatkarasu, Timbalan Ketua Setiausaha Perancangan dan Pembudayaan MOSTI untuk mengambil tempat duduk di atas pentas. Di samping itu, turut bersama kita pada hari ini adalah panel-panel yang tidak asing lagi, iaitu yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Rofina Yasmin, Othman dari Universiti Malaya, yang berusaha Dr. Charlie Yao dari Sarawak Biodiversity Center, yang berusaha Encik Giva Kuppusamy dari GK Aqua Sendirian Berhad, dan yang berusaha Puan Hazami Habib dari Akademi Sains Malaysia. Dipersilakan moderator.
Right, terima kasih saudara Lawrence, pengacara majlis pada pagi ini. Salam sejahtera yang berbahagia Datuk Othman, Presiden Akademi Sains dan juga Presiden kepada Perdana Menteri, penasihat kepada Perdana Menteri, yes. Dan rakan-rakan semua, terima kasih kerana sudi melapangkan masa bersama kita di satu acara yang sangat penting di mana pada petang ni kita akan melancarkan dasar Biotek 2.0. Dan sebentar tadi saja kita telah mendapat sedikit singkapan daripada yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Othman tentang apa yang mungkin terkandung dalam dasar yang dilancarkan oleh Perdana Menteri petang ini. Tapi sebelum itu pada pagi ini kita ada satu panel yang hebat belaka yang akan mengupas topik ini dengan lebih mendalam, iaitu adakah kita di landasan yang betul. Jadi ini sangat penting sebab dasar biotek yang pertama telah dilancarkan pada tahun 2005 dan ia telah berlangsung sehingga 2020 dan sekarang kita akan mengadakan satu dasar yang baru untuk meneruskan keceboran Malaysia dalam industri biotek ini, dalam pertanian, healthcare dan juga industri. Jadi sebelum saya meneruskan, elok saya memperkenalkan panel yang ada bersama kita. Saya rasa semua kenal yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Rofina Yasmin. Profesor Rofina pernah berkhidmat di MOSTI sebagai SUB Biotek dan beliau juga daripada Universiti Malaya dan terlibat lama dalam bidang biotek dan panjang dia punya CV di sini, tapi saya rasa dia ada pengalaman membuat dasar dan sains. Jadi Prof Rofina akan membawa this whole interplay between science policy interface and I think Prof Rofina akan berkongsi pengalaman beliau dalam bidang tersebut. Dan kita juga ada Puan Hazami. Puan Hazami adalah CEO Academy of Sciences dan Academy of Sciences baru-baru ini Jemaah Menteri telah membuat keputusan di mana Presiden Academy of Science akan juga menjadi penasihat sains kepada Perdana Menteri dan juga negara. Jadi akan semakin penting peranan yang akan dimainkan oleh Academy of Sciences. Dan saya rasa Academy of Sciences ada di sini bersama kita sebab mereka adalah pihak yang penting yang telah membantu kementerian dalam menggubal dasar DBN 2.0. Jadi kita akan dengar daripada Puan Hazami sendiri tentang perkara ini. Dan kita juga ada Dr. Charlie Yeo yang juga merupakan CEO Sarawak Biodiversity Center. Sarawak Biodiversity Center ini telah lama wujud dan started off with your ordinance in 1997 dan Sarawak Biodiversity Center telah cuba menggunakan sumber-sumber biologi secara mampan dengan input pengetahuan tradisi untuk menjana kekayaan baru dari peringkat akar umbi, dan mereka akan menceritakan melalui Dr. Charlie akan kejayaan mereka menggunakan ilmu tradisi dan disulami dengan biotech untuk menjana kekayaan baru dan how it has improved local livelihoods. Dan di hujung sekali kita ada, saya rasa mungkin orang yang paling muda dalam panel ini, tetapi age is a very biological thing. I always feel I'm biologically 24. So Dr. Giva Kuppusamy, seorang entrepreneur muda biousahawan yang telah berjaya menggunakan bioteknologi untuk menghasilkan satu produk aquaculture yang sekarang ini mendapat sambutan yang baik. Dan saya rasa Jiwa akan membawa kepada pentas ini tentang potensi biotek bagi golongan muda untuk menceburi dalam bidang biotek dan menghasil kekayaan baru. Saya sebenarnya tidak membaca CV mereka. Terima kasih kepada Universiti yang menyediakan, sangat panjang. Tapi saya rasa kita akan kongsikan CV mereka secara lebih apa dalam kita punya forum. Dan juga saya difahamkan kami bersiaran secara langsung di media sosial. Jadi bagi mereka yang mengikuti siaran kami di Facebook Live, boleh juga like page kami dan juga bertanyakan soalan melalui saluran-saluran tersebut. Urus setia saya dimaklumkan bahawa kita juga ada Slido, tapi tidak ada maklumat tentang Slido ke? Ataupun kita ada slide tentang Slido, tidak ada ke? Ada? Yes. So, MOSTI selari dengan usaha kami menteknologikan segalanya yang boleh. Kita juga telah memudahkan bagi mereka yang mungkin tidak mahu atau tidak kesempatan bertanya soalan, boleh mengemukakan soalan melalui Slido dengan event code 1476629. Jadi, apa yang kita akan lakukan pagi ini, setiap ahli panel akan memberi pandangan mereka selama 10 minit dan selepas itu saya akan buka kepada soalan sama ada dari penonton di sini ataupun penonton yang berada di atas talian, dan juga kami akan melihat soalan-soalan yang wujud di Slido ini. Dan we will see how time goes and maybe we can have another round of question. Jadi mungkin tanpa melengahkan masa, saya ingin menjemput Prof. Yasmin untuk memulakan kupasan beliau tentang topik ini, adakah kami di landasan yang betul. Silakan Prof.
Terima kasih.
Do you like to?
Yes, stand up.
You like to use that?
Disuruh pakai ni, so I have to oblige to stand. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Terima kasih Dr. Nagulendran kerana telah memberi pembukaan yang amat terang. Saya amat teruja actually. I see so many old friends here and I also see young people. So I think ini adalah satu peluang bagi kita semua membangunkan semula, and I say that, membangunkan semula satu sektor yang sememangnya telah menjadi tunjak kepada perkembangan ekonomi negara kita. I mean, and that's, so I'm here as a cheerleader for biotech. After all these years, I still feel that biotech really has a lot to contribute to our nation. So I was asked to, saya diminta untuk memberi sedikit pandangan saya tentang sama ada selepas dasar biotech pertama kita sedang berada di ambang yang dikatakan boleh membawa kepada satu kelainan melalui DB 2.0. So adakah kita, so the yellow book, semua ingat lagi ya? Buku ni dulu kita memang semua orang pegang, baca dan membawa banyak harapan. And secara ringkas nak bawa imbas balik kepada apa yang telah dirancang dan apa yang telah dilaksanakan dalam 15 tahun semasa dasar bioteknologi pertama dilaksanakan pada tahun 2005 oleh masa itu Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri kita Datuk Tun Abdullah Badawi. So 3 fasa. Fasa pertama pembinaan keupayaan, fasa kedua makmal kepasaran, fasa 3 perniagaan global. Dan 9 teras, 3 fokus areas pertanian, perindustrian dan penjagaan kesihatan telah memberi kita satu platform secara teratur untuk membangunkan sektor bioteknologi di Malaysia. So adakah kami telah berjaya? Have we moved forward from 2005? Adakah kita bersedia sekarang untuk DBN 2.0? So untuk saya rasa kita sememangnya bersedia. Walaupun tadi Dr. Othman kata sumbangan sektor bioteknologi terhadap keluaran dan negeri kasar hanya 2.1, tapi 2.1% ini tidak termasuk sektor-sektor sektor industri lain yang disokong biotek sebenarnya. Sama ada kita tak kira sebenarnya seperti industri makanan, kita tak kira industri kimia yang asas teknologinya biotek. Kita tak kira misalnya industri dana, Zraya di sini, yang sememangnya membawa pulangan yang agak baik kepada negara, tetapi tidak dimasuk dalam pengiraan KDNK biotek. So saya rasa kita kena lihat dengan lebih luas apa yang kita definisikan sebagai industri biotek yang dapat memajukan ekonomi. And we're at the right time. Kalau kita tengok strategi ekonomi di merata dunia, the US announced their strategic trust areas for the economy. Biotech is one of them. The European Union, biotech is one of them. So in Malaysia, we need to recognize that biotech is a driver of economy. So ada banyak yang telah berlaksana semasa 2015 yang membuat kita merasa yang sememangnya kita boleh berbangga dengan pelbagai kejayaan. And I cannot do this in 10 minutes. Jadi saya just pick one or two yang baru-baru ni pun saya telah sempat bersua semula dengan pemain-pemain biotek. Teras 1 dan 2 dan 3 adalah untuk pembangunan sektor, iaitu 3 sektor yang kita tengok. Dan this is some of the things yang telah saya rasa kita boleh bangga dengan sektor biotek. Misalnya semasa COVID, kita tahu kita lihat sendiri perkembangan pesat industri diagnostik di Malaysia. Dan it didn't come from nowhere. It came from a base of development of diagnostics from Prof. Asmah. 15 tahun dulu dia dah bersedia dengan landasan diagnostiknya. And until now, we have more than 20 companies, local companies, really capable of doing world-class diagnostics and are doing world-class diagnostics. Ada di belakang, banyak in exhibiting. Today, we can see them too. Kemasukan pelaburan industri antarabangsa. Did it work? Yes, we have a lot of companies now that are in Malaysia in this field. But again, we do not have a sectoral view the way E&E sector has. For instance, Biocon, biggest insulin facility, is in Malaysia. Perkembangan syarikat berasaskan bioinformatics, MGRC, Intervent, Syngenics, many more, memang bertapak di sini. And they have no problem in getting talent to work in their companies. And that I will speak very briefly. I have very few minutes left only. Teknologi biogesim merentas pelbagai industri. Sememangnya we know, for climate change, for green technology, what is the technology behind that's being used? It is biotechnology. And last of all here, I wanted to just highlight this very interesting fact that I got from the impact study yang Dr. Othman tunjuk tadi. 12 syarikat bioteknologi pertanian tempatan memulakan ujian klinikal untuk ubat botany, botanical drugs. Ini sepatutnya adalah satu daripada kita punya kekuatan di Malaysia because we have the biodiversity. Dr. Charlie akan kongsi sedikit tentang itu. But we also have the technologies, we have the skills to do this. And there are some companies here. Today we can see as well, Medica Natura is one of them. Here MDRC, Intervent, all these companies that you've probably heard of. Okay, trust 4 is something I want to highlight also lah. And I think ramai di antara kita di sini yang menceburi R&D di universiti atau di RI, dan banyak yang diperkatakan bahawa R&D biotek ni tak menyerlah, tak ada impact. I beg to differ lah. Sebenarnya kita dah sampai tahap yang pendidikan kita dikenali di merata dunia dari segi kualitinya. We can see by the papers, the citations, the patents we can get. Tapi kenapa dia tidak dikenali sebagai satu yang telah diterjemahkan oleh industri kepada impact atau kepada community? So I guess that's the job of 2.0. We need to convert now really all this incredible research kepada satu yang boleh dikatakan memberi impact kepada community dan industri. So it's just, so what is the problem? The problem is many things. Maybe the value of death, maybe funding. Kita tahu ini 2019 data about funding sememangnya memang tak cukup dan tidak merentasi untuk membawa R&D daripada universiti atau RI kepada penggunaan consumer atau industri. That crossover funding is still something we need to address. Kerana pendanaan kebanyakan masih lagi daripada sumber kerajaan, dan kita tengah nak cari sama ada dalam DBN 2.0 pelaburan dana akan lebih daripada industri. The pull factor from industry has to be what drives 2.0. At least that's my opinion. And we have the infrastructure. Kita ada the National Institute, not only just our more than 30 universities which do research in biotechnology, kita juga ada the National Institute of Bioteknologi yang telah dilaksanakan semasa 1.0. So almost to the end of my brief what do you call it, sharing session. Talent adalah satu lagi. Pembangunan modal insan adalah satu lagi sektor yang banyak ditanya-tanyakan. Mismatch. I keep hearing this all the time. Is there really a mismatch? Okay. Number one, kita lihat daripada berbagai sudut. Kalau kita tengok pada sudut sasaran DBN 1.0, memang tercapai. Because we were at a soaring upwards trajectory in terms of the number of courses, number of programs, number of graduates. You know, so just in the last 10 years, lebih daripada 12,000 graduan, pengkhususan biotek tidak termasuk bidang-bidang yang berkaitan. So again, kita nak ingat bahawa biotek bukannya degree biotek saja. Degree chemical engineering, degree microbiology, degree biokimia, dan semuanya adalah berkaitan dengan bidang biotek. So, dan kalau kita lihat pada bilangan kerjaya pula, bilangan kerjaya biotek dan bilangan sebenar graduan biotek dan bidang berkaitan yang memenuhi jawatan ini, kita tak ada really good tracking system lah, data to really show that this is success. We have a TKSU, we have industry players, we have people in finance, we have our graduates are everywhere actually. Of course, we don't expect 100% of our graduates to be in the field, but they are in fields of influence that can help the biotech industry. And kita kena lihat juga dalam di manakah graduan kita pergi. Kita harus lihat pada diaspora kita juga. Diaspora to me is a success story. It's not a failure necessarily. You know, we think, oh, brain drain. No, it is we are sending our brains to build the world, and we will have them back. Not physically maybe, but certainly diaspora memainkan peranan penting di negara-negara yang telah membangunkan industri bioteknologi. Bila diaspora mereka yang memberikan akses kepada teknologi, akses kepada market, dan akses kepada talent daripada luar negara. Jadi, saya rasa kita kena frame semula, rethink how we talk about our talent. Kalau kita sentiasa cakap mismatch, no jobs. Kenapa no jobs? I really challenge the industry to 2.0. We have more graduates than industry can handle. So the industry has got to grow and grow quickly. Yeah, and to be honest, semua industri yang saya I may be wrong, but the ones that I've been interactive with, they have no problem to find talent within this country. So talent is not the problem. It's just, you know. And the other thing is, I think Dr. Hazami pun sebut dalam, kita juga tahu, yang keperluannya adalah pada talent yang khusus. So biotech programs yang paling popular dalam kajian yang telah dilaksanakan adalah program biotech yang mengkhusus, like biotech industry, biotech marine ke, biotech penjagaan kesihatan, itu yang lebih popular dan juga yang disukai oleh industri. Actually, I have, just before I go to the last slide, ada gambar ke tepi tu, GK Aqua. So GK Aqua adalah graduan Universiti Malaya dalam biotech. I'm very proud of that. And ni dia dengan Dr. Nagu, the picture. Yeah, and it's something that also we need to have conversation about. Syarikat biotech yang diterajui dalam biotech di mana entrepreneurship, keusahawanan adalah satu laluan kerjaya yang kita kena tekankan, number one. And number two, did you know that entrepreneur graduan biotech ni tidak terkira dalam the counting of the number of jobs that biotech students go, because it's not considered, maybe now, but before this it was not considered like a job. So you don't really have a job, Mr. Giva, even though you own a company. Finally, adakah kita bersedia to the next phase? And to me, the government has done so much to get things ready. The industry has done so much to get things ready. Membina landasan yang saya rasa cukup mantap. We have akta-akta yang sesuai, kita ada piawai yang sesuai, kita ada laluan-laluan regulatory seperti untuk ujian klinikal. Kita telah tubuhkan majlis bioetika masa 2012. Kita ada baru-baru ni garis panduan ubatan botanicals yang membolehkan kita sekarang mengakreditasi ubatan botanicals di Malaysia. Kita dulu ada Biotech Corp, sekarang ada Bioteknologi. What's the name? It's just a name. And Bioteknologi Corp pun mungkin ada di MOSTI sekarang. Ya, jadi kita ada penerajunya untuk Biotech 2.0. So I am optimistic and I hope all of you all are too. And I hope that kita boleh laksanakan 2.0 bersama-sama. InsyaAllah.
Thanks. Terima kasih Prof. Rofina. Saya rasa Prof. Rofina telah memberi kupasan dari segi very broad tentang, dan beliau juga sangat optimistik bergerak ke depan tentang biotech dan telah menimbulkan beberapa persoalan yang mungkin tuan-tuan secara online ataupun yang berada di sini mungkin boleh bertanya lepas ini. Misalnya Prof mengatakan sumbangan dana. Jika dilihat semasa rancangan Malaysia ke-9, kalau tidak silap saya, dana untuk biotech hampir 0.5 bilion. 0.5 bilion. Itu saya selalu ungkitkan sebagai zaman kegemalangan MOSTI. Tapi angka itu telah merosot. Semasa rancangan Malaysia ke-11, kalau tidak silap saya, hanya 20 juta diperuntukkan. Jadi ini persoalan yang ditimbulkan oleh Prof. Pendanaan, adakah ia seharusnya datang daripada kerajaan saja? Apakah peranan industri? So mungkin ini boleh kita fikirkan bersama. Dan persoalan kedua yang saya rasa sangat relevan ialah bakat. Sering kali bila kita turun padang, industri mengatakan kita tidak mendapat bakat yang sewajarnya daripada universiti. Manakala jika kita berbicara dengan pihak IPTA ataupun IPTS, mereka mengatakan mereka menjana banyak graduan biotech. Jadi ada graduan yang mengambil the traditional pathway, pergi dan bekerja di luar sana. Ada juga yang berani dalam bio-usahawan seperti rakan kita, Mr. Giva. Jadi ini antara beberapa soalan yang kita perlu jawab ataupun kita boleh bincang kemudian. Dan satu perkara yang saya rasa Prof. Rofina mengatakan, kita ada kerangka undang-undang yang agak mencukupi, seperti kerangka undang-undang biokeselamatan, akses kepada sumber biologi dan perkongsian faedah, Akta ini 2017, dan what's lacking to make the move? Saya rasa DBN 2.0 juga akan membesarkan 5% KDN keluaran dalam negeri kasar, how do we get there by 2030? So untuk itu, mungkin elok sekarang saya mempersilakan Dr. Charlie Yeo yang mana telah bekerja dengan masyarakat tempatan, komuniti tempatan dan menggunakan khazanah biologi Sarawak untuk menjana kekayaan baru dan improving life. So maybe Dr. Charlie will share some of your experiences. Dipersilakan Dr. Charlie Yeo daripada Sarawak Biodiversity Center.
I'll just do it from here.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
All right. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera. First of all, I want to say terima kasih kepada pihak MOSTI yang menyebut Sarawak Biodiversity Center kat panel perkongsian sini. What I wanted to do was, this morning when I got up, I feel very excited, and I feel excited not because of the coffee I've been drinking, but I feel very excited because MOSTI now is having a new prime mover that they have to sort of manage over time till the year 2030. So this is something very, very important for the whole nation, and it's also very important for Sarawak. Now, what I intend to do here was to talk a little bit about what the Sarawak Biodiversity does, and let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to look at how it was set up 25 years ago. 25 years ago, Sarawak knew that the rainforest is very important. The rainforests have a lot of values, and it's important to conserve it. But what do we do as far as like the kind of science we should put in? So we started off with something very simple, that is document the traditional knowledge. Why, right? The reason is because in Sarawak there are 28 ethnic communities that have different languages, different types of food, and they use different types of plants for their day-to-day activity, including medicinal use. So we thought that is a very important information to capture. We started that 25 years ago. So over time, we developed a database for it, and also linking to it with the knowledge is the species of the plant that they use. So we begin to collect those plants also. And by having that list and inventory of plants, what else do you do with it as far as from a science perspective? We begin to introduce chemistry in there, biology, and of course, biotechnology. So we made extracts of those plants, and we kept it in the library. Now, in terms of how it all turns out in the year, a few years ago, we began to think about how traditional knowledge, what is the outcome of it when it meets science? How does science add value to the traditional knowledge? And how do we conserve and how do we protect these species that are in the biodiversity? We have documented about 21 out of the 28 indigenous communities in terms of their plants. Some of the plants are overlapping, and some of the plants have similar uses, but you'd be surprised that some of the uses are quite interesting. And how does science is able to unravel all this? And Prof. Yasmin said that you need botanists, you need people who are, pakar dalam botany, taxonomy. And here we do not have scientists who are specifically involved in it, but we train them and we bring in expertise. Now, very simple wise, Sarawak Biodiversity Center set up 25 years ago. We are primarily funded by the state government and industry. We serve the state government in terms of how we manage the utilization of the biodiversity. And very simply, once we have set up the libraries of these plants extracts, we expanded further. If you look at biodiversity, it's not about plants. only. It's about animals, it's about fungi, it's about bacteria, so on and so forth. So we expanded this library from the last 25 years. We expanded it to have a collection of microalgae for biofuel production. We expanded to microbes, which we intend to do bioprospecting on in terms of pharmaceuticals, so on and so forth. So here, Sarawak biodiversity translated to an assets, the chemical library, and we have the R&D in which we collaborate internally. We have in-house screening as well as collaboration with outside institutions and also companies. And then we intend to build products and commercialize thereof. Therefore, not only serving to look at how we can return income to the indigenous community, but also income to the state government itself. And therefore, here, the economic opportunity is huge. And we are very happy that MOSTI now has moved on to DBN2, and we hope to be aligned to that, yeah? Now, that's the process of the product discovery. And I just want to mention one little project, or one project that we've been working on for several years. And this entails work with the indigenous community. And it's on an essential oil called Litsara. The essential oil of Litsara comes from a species of plant called Litsea cubeba. It is quite a common species. You can find it in China. Dia ada apa itu saudara dekat, a similar species in China, which they call meichang. And the oil smells fantastic, yeah? Now, there is a difference between the Litsea cubeba from Sarawak compared to the oil in China or in Vietnam. And because of this difference, we are able to establish the intellectual property around it. We did a geographical indication as well as the trademark it. And furthermore, we have found something unique about these plants, that it is non-allergen. We therefore went forward and make some healthcare products with it, in the interest that you stimulate some social enterprise. So this has been going on for a while, and we would not be able to do it without what we call as an instrument under Convention of Biological Diversity, under the Nagoya Protocol, which is called Access and Benefit Sharing. Access and benefit sharing is a process whereby you recognize the indigenous knowledge, as well as you promise that whatever you develop from there, you would share the benefit back with the community. It has prior informed consent in there, in which you have to get the consent of the community. Here, this project has taken off, and we were able to derive monetary as well as non-monetary benefit with the community. And the first 5 communities that we were able to get on board was quite significant in the sense that Sarawak have achieved a first in Malaysia in the signing of the first benefit sharing agreement in Malaysia. So that has started in 2019. It stretched over 3 years. Recently, we re-signed the agreement again. It stretched over for the next 5 years. We buy the essential oil from the community who extracted the oil using the equipment that is supplied by SBC under the sponsorship of UNDP. We take the oil, we QC the oil, and we make sure that the oil has the certification that companies can use in the products. And the products that are sold would have part of the royalty channel back to the community. So far, so on and so forth, it has been quite interesting. And what I like to do is, I like to end here by saying that if you're looking at this project itself, which is a social innovation project, the question that we are discussing here today is whether we are at the Landasan and Tinggi, yeah? And because of this project, I think we can ask ourselves whether this is biotechnology at its highest level, or whether it is a very socially directed project directed at improving the livelihood of the community. And I think with that, Dr. Nagu, I'll just end there. All right? Thank you very much for your attention.
Terima kasih, Dr. Charlie. I mean, it's projected that the value of biotech by 2030 will be about $3 million. And this is just a snippet about how biotech, together with ethno-knowledge systems, can actually empower communities. And I really like this story because it's not as straightforward as we see. One is you have to deal with the communities, but communities are also getting smarter. So they also want clear contracts so that they don't lose out. Because ada banyak pengalaman di negara-negara lain. Sebab masyarakat peribumi, they do not understand, or not that they do not understand, they understand a lot. They do not recognize our governing boundaries, you see. So there was this very interesting story about a tribe in Africa who was using hudia, which is an energy giver. Yeah? But these tribes, they have been sharing traditional knowledge for ages, but now, unfortunately, due to colonization, they have been drawn into a certain country, Zambia, South Africa. So when there was a bioprospecting activity in that particular country, and benefit sharing was given to a particular tribe, then suddenly a tribe in a cross land said, hey, look here, I too know this knowledge, you see. So these things are interesting, but they involve a lot of legal work at social level, and I'm very excited that Sarawak Biodiversity Centre has got a lot of experience for doing prior informed consent, having protocols at community level. So perkara ini sangat penting. Saya juga teruja bila community boleh mendapat RM15,000 serumah sebulan. So this is social innovation in action, and it looks at the potential of our biodiversity. Pada ketika yang sama juga, saya rasa ia menimbulkan banyak persoalan kerana berlaku ketirisan sumber biologi kita dan juga pengetahuan tradisi kita. Sebab bila seorang bioprospector memasuk hutan hujan khatulistiwa kita, amat sukar ya untuk mengetahui pokok mana yang berguna ataupun microbe mana. Of course can't see microbes, but they usually take soil samples back. The first point of contact is our orang asli that share with them knowledge that when I have a flu, I take this bark of the tree, and then a modern scientist will say flu is virus. They will prospect for antiviral properties and all that. But most of the time, local communities do not get any benefit for the knowledge they have. And there's a lot of misappropriation that happens, and it's happening till today. In fact, pernah berlaku tidak berapa lama dulu di mana seorang saintis terkenal datang ke satu IPTA kita membawa balik pohon, I won't mention the name of the pohon, that will be too obvious. Suatu pohon, dia mengambil pohon itu tanpa kebenaran IPTA itu. Tapi di pohon itu, di akarnya mempunyai fungi yang boleh mengubat penyakit Ganoderma kepada pokok kelapa sawit. Ya. Jadi, he bioprospected it without permission, so it's called biopiracy. And that's a loss of our khazanah because Malaysia is a signatory to the Convention on Biological Diversity, which recognizes your sovereign rights over your bioresources. So it's a very important treaty yang mana left only, I think, a few countries yang belum rectify, which is Amerika Syarikat and one or two others. So ini ialah perkara-perkara yang kita harus ambil perhatian, dan saya rasa usaha yang dibuat di Sarawak Biodiversity Centre is very exciting, and I think you may have questions to ask Dr. Charlie later on. Then moving on, I think kita akan melihat bagaimana pula industri biotek boleh diusahahasilkan dalam perniagaan yang saya rasa saudara Giva akan berkongsi dengan kita, dan saya rasa I will pass on to Mr. Giva to share his experience. Silakan.
Terima kasih, salam sejahtera semua. Terima kasih Tuan Pengerusi. So terima kasih daripada pandangan kita tengok tadi, Malaysia adalah satu negara yang banyak dengan khazanah semula jadi biodiversity. So dengan itu saya bermula di mana persoalan kita untuk forum hari ini, sama ada kita di landasan yang betul atau tidak, kan? So bagi sebagai seorang entrepreneur, bagi saya kita memang ada di landasan yang betul, di negara yang paling nenek saya biasa kata negara ni yang bukan warna bumi. It's a blessed land. Buang apa saja, tak payah jaga pun. Dia akan tumbuh secara semula jadi. And dengan itu, bagi saya landasan untuk entrepreneur memang di landasan yang betul, di mana kita memang ditaja dari funding ekosistem, di mana kita start dulu, platform ventures, cradle, bioekonomi dengan tax incentive dia. So kita bagi ramai orang muda, kita suka complain. We take it to the netizen, we call ourselves netizen, hari-hari complain. Kita tak dapat ini, tak dapat itu. Saya rasa kalau kita berusaha, things are possible. So dari segi biodiversity, kita secara global, the dependency lebih kepada satu atau dua crop. Contohnya kalau dalam agriculture, kita bergantung kepada wheat, soy, rice and so forth. Kalau kita ambil agriculture, macam negara kita memang banyak sistem agriculture kita lebih kepada monoculture. Dan sama juga dengan aquaculture. Kalau kita tengok dalam gambar ni, saya memang tak muat nak masuk, kita ada lebih kurang 24 spesies aquaculture dari fresh water sahaja yang mempunyai potensi ekonomi yang tinggi. Tapi namun demikian, kita hanya komersialkan 3 jenis ikan, di mana ikan tilapia, ikan patin dan ikan keli. Tapi harga atau industri 3 spesies ni pun sudah hampir 800 juta ringgit. Ya. So itulah persoalan saya masa saya mula-mula dulu bermula dengan udang galah. Memang itu spesies kegemaran saya, di mana memang masalah kita dekat Malaysia, kita memang bertumpu kepada induk-induk dari liar. So domestication in terms of technology memang tak wujud. So kita ambil udang galah ni sebagai satu contoh dan kita disrupt the value chain dari segi aplikasi teknologi. Dia bukan saja start dengan genetics and breeding, kita ada juga kajian dari segi animal nutrition untuk gantikan bahan makanan dia. Kita selalu komplain, kita kata dedak mahal, kita kena bagi ayam kita makan dengan nutrition dari yang imported. Persoalan atau common sense dia, udang atau ikan kita di sungai bukan makan dengan soy atau wheat. So it goes back to the nature, right? So that's where disruptive innovation comes in. Of course, kalau kita jaga genetik dan animal nutrition, health is self-evident. Dia boleh take care itself. And then on the last platform is technology. Acquisition technology, sebab kita dalam satu konteks global dengan 10 bilion orang dalam masa 20 tahun, we have to do more with less. And that's the truth. And we cannot run away from that, right? And overarching semua ni, kita lagi kena lestari kepada alam sekitar. Kita Sustainable Development Goals. Kita hari-hari cakap pasal SDG, tapi sama ada kita aplikasi atau lebih cenderung kepada kelestarian dalam bidang kita, itu adalah satu soalan yang kita kena jawab kepada diri sendirilah. So dari segi genetics, saya nak kupaskan di sini, kita selalu komplain. Dekat Surat Khabar kita boleh tengok, banyak talent yang keluar ke luar negara. Kita selalu ada brain drain. Tapi ada juga, macam saya punya rakan seperjuangan dekat sini, Dr. Gan, dia ke Australia, di Kin Genomic Institute, 3 tahun lepas dia balik. Dia join kita, kita buat perkara macam ni, orang spend berjuta-juta ringgit nak sequence genom. Genom udang galah ni hanya saiz dalam 4 GB, kita spend dalam RM100,000 saja. So, persoalan dia sama ada teknologi itu mahal, tak mahal, itu bukan persoalan sekarang. Technology gets cheaper as economy of scale increases. So, apa yang kita buat dengan udang galah ni memanglah kita memang menghasilkan baka yang lebih bagus dengan genome sequencing dan boleh mempercepatkan pertumbuhan dan membesarkan udang. Contohnya penternak kita memang boleh dapat 500 kali ganda peratus yield dia dalam masa yang amat singkat. So itu satu contoh. Dan kita juga lestarikan makanan dia dari segi green scale economy. Banyak barang biodiversity, banyak macam saya katakan tadi, banyak treasure atau khazanah negara biodiversity. Dan kita fokuskan kepada ini, contohnya kita gunakan pokok turi dalam rumusan makanan kita. Di mana kita bagi sejenis lalat, black soldier fly, dan kita beri kepada udang kita. And then kita found out juga dalam usaha ni, kita pun jumpa ada kandungan omega 6 pula dalam kandungan ni. Kan? So, perkara-perkara begini kalau kita tak research atau kita tak continue, that's why as a small startup, our DNA is always about research. Because research and development or bio-innovation is a continuous process. Kalau kita buat satu perkara, kita dah cakap, kita dah angkuh dengan kejayaan kita, kata, we are done, we are very successful. I think that's not the right attitude in the industry. So, kita tengah berusaha untuk penternak kita, untuk mendapatkan rumusan makanan on-site, and then udang ni boleh lebih sihat, and then perkara ni kita boleh jual udang galah di Malaysia dalam RM40. Udang yang sama kita boleh jual $40. Yeah? Kenapa? People pay for carbonization. This whole context here is about carbon credit. Yeah? About how we can manipulate the environment to be favorable in our daily life, so that it benefits us largely in terms of economic return. Itu contoh video udang galah diberi makan dengan black soldier fly. Dia suka. So, itu contoh lah. Nanti boleh lawat booth kita. Paling saya gembira pasal kerja saya atau what we do in end of the day has to translate to economic growth. Contohnya semalam rakan saya dengan Steven ke Rompin. Kita jumpa dengan orang muda, kita kata kita nak start satu projek di sana, memang ada farm yang abandoned lah dalam 1,000 ekar. Orang sana, orang muda dah ke tabiat penagihan dah. Simply because nelayan di situ pergi tangkap ikan, tak ada ikan, so dia kena ada replacement of economic activity. Okay? So kita lebih tumpukan kepada, because apa yang kita buat di lab tu, saya selalu bagi tahu kolik saya, kena ada peranan atau return on investment or equity to the farmers. So we are talking about social equity. Okay? So kita di mana kita merangka satu program dengan institutional financial institution, mana penternak udang galah 0.3 hektar boleh mendapat untung sehingga RM6,000 sebulan. Orang ramai kata, you ambil pekerja asing, you kasih dia 20 kolam, bayar RM2,000, dia sudah boleh, you sudah lagi untung. I think that's the mentality shift we as young entrepreneurs try to bring, so that we can diversify and also empower people. I think empowerment of economic or bioeconomic development is a going forward. And that can achieve a tremendous achievement in terms of food security and sustainability, and be self-reliant, because we have an import bill of RM60 billion. So udang galah ni adalah satu contoh di mana kita boleh aplikasi apa yang kita belajar di universiti. So irony, 2015 dasar 1.0 saya baru undergrad tahun pertama. So dengan itu saya habiskan sharing session saya dan serahkan kepada Dr. Nagu.
Right, terima kasih Cik Giva. Saya rasa kalau kita rungkaikan apa yang dikongsikan oleh Giva, ada 3 perkara lah. Satu ialah selari dengan distin, iaitu Dasar Sains Teknologi Inovasi Negara. Kita melihat bahawa Malaysia perlu beranjak pada negara pencipta teknologi. Dan apa yang saudara Giva telah buat, dia telah menghasilkan udang yang semuanya jantan, tanpa menggunakan kaedah genetic engineering, tapi kaedah dia tersendiri untuk menghasilkan udang jantan. Bukan dia tak suka betina, tapi jantan ni besar. Jadi lebih cepat dia boleh dapat RM40 ataupun $40 depending where you are selling it. So this shows innovation is very important. Tetapi untuk membawa Cik Giva ke mana dia berada hari ini kena angkat bakul sedikit jugalah. MOSTI juga ada peranan. Melalui suntikan dana MOSTI yang sedikit, tapi it was enough to nudge Mr. Giva to get to where he is today. So that's why sokongan kerajaan, MOSTI adalah agensi yang memberi dana, dan kita juga ada agensi-agensi seperti Cradle dan sebagainya yang memberi dana-dana startup untuk membantu usahawan muda seperti Mr. Giva. And the third thing is, I think what is really nice is, when I went to visit Mr. Giva, he's continuously looking at solutions. Dia bagi udang dia makan black soldier fly, dia bagi makanan turi, right? It's a very famous plant with the Indian community sebab dia ada pelbagai khasiat kesihatan. And bila udang dia makan fermented daun turi ni nampak sihat-sihat belaka. So he's continuously innovating, and the final point is he's not stopping there. He's sharing with the community. Jadi it's memperkasakan community. So I think that's why we wanted him to be in the panel, because it's a very interesting story to share with everybody, you see. And itu ialah daripada saudara Jiwa. You can ask him a lot of questions, and I think you have your live prawns here, right? Okay. Dan kita akan beralih kepada Puan Hazami. We keep ini macam 4x4 lah, the last runner. So dia akan berkongsikan beberapa perkara tentang ekosistem biotech, and in the bigger context of the 10-10 STI framework. And I think she'll be doing a sharing about anjakan paradigma of return of investment to return of value, and a bit on social innovation and how we can tie this all up together. So I'll pass on to Puan Hazami. Silakan.
Thank you, Dr. Nagu.
Sorry.
Assalamualaikum. Salam sejahtera. And thank you to MOSTI for inviting me and Akademi Sains Malaysia to share what we can share today at this historic day to launch the Bioteknologi Policy 2.0. Okay, can I have my slides? Okay. First of all, this policy, the policy statement adalah memacu negara ke arah bioinovasi bagi menjana kekayaan, kesejahteraan sosial dan pembangunan mampan. That is the policy statement that we want to achieve under this Dasar Bioteknologi 2.0. The vision is pada tahun 2030, kita nak bioteknologi akan mentransformasi Malaysia kepada sebuah negara berteknologi tinggi berasaskan bioinovasi yang progresif, makmur, inklusif dan mampan. So that is the vision of this new policy that we want to launch this afternoon. And what is our mission? The mission is untuk mengharmonikan, menyatukan dan memfokus kepada semua sumber aktiviti dan program berasaskan bio di Malaysia ke arah peningkatan kemakmuran ekonomi, kesejahteraan sosial dan kemampanan. So that is the mission of this policy. So Akademi, when we do this policy together with MOSTI, with all our stakeholder engagement, and not just biotechnology policy, all other policies that is formed by Akademi for the government, like nanotechnology policy, nuclear policy, so on and so forth, and all the roadmaps, we always be asked to say how to do the how to unlock this policy. So one of the things that when we launched RMK 12, we come up with this 10-10 MySTIE. What is this 10-10 MySTIE? So this policy this year, DBN 2.0, is focusing on bio-innovation, talking about bio-revolutions, whereby it integrates and develops in computing, data analytics, machine learning, AI, biological engineering, that give rise to all research now is multidisciplinary solutions. It is converging platform and system and multiple spillover impact across sector. That is now the DNA of R&D. And the 4 arenas of bio-innovation in this policy address biomolecules, biosystem, bio-machine interface, and biocomputing. So when we form 10-10 MySTIE, all this technology is already developed and designed through this 10-10. But people always think 10-10 is about this matrix alone. This matrix is just an introduction. After 283 emerging technology in the world, we shortlist to 95 and now we cluster it into 10. And we need all experts in this 10 to bring biotechnology. There are 5 emerging technology: biotechnology, nanotechnology, digital technology, green technology, and neurotechnology. To bring it to the next level. And which area that we want to develop? We want to develop all these 10 socio-economic areas that we have identified. And this 10-10 MySTIE is already accepted under RMK 12. This is not exclusive untuk dasar sains teknologi dan inovasi negara. This is a tool for us, be it industry, be it researchers, government officers, policy makers, think tank like Akademi, to plan what kind of programs, initiative, research that really give impact to the 10 socio-economic areas that we want to develop under RMK 12. So that is the thing that is 10-10. So people always see 10-10, this metric. But the real 10-10 is this. This is the mechanism under 10-10 that we should work now. Unlock the policy of Dasar Bioteknologi Negara 2.0 towards this mechanism. What is this mechanism? This mechanism teaches us how to be more focused, to build an understanding of the emerging global technologies that we have clustered is already, the 10 emerging technologies, and how they impact your core operation and influence key socio-economic sectors. After focus, now we have to prioritize. Under this 10-10, we have identified the niche area. I will share with you the niche area that we have the government yang guna public money ni or industry to prioritize your investment to build position for global leaders. Under DBM 2.0, we want 30% of bio-nexus to go global. That is our target. How to do that if we don't know how to prioritize? Next is, we have to systemize our innovation ecosystem through the 8I innovation helix. The infrastructure, incentive, intellectual capital, so on and so forth. That is 10-10. Number 4, the mechanism of 10-10 is collaborative platform. We see just now, Dr. Othman shows, the whole Malaysia, each state have biotechnology center. How do we work together? How do we collaborate among federal and state? How do we collaborate among all research organizations and universities? We need to perform this collaborative platform. Then, it should be inclusive. We need to initiate locality specific, just like what we learned from Sarawak Biodiversity. We have to understand the strength of each state, the strength of each locality. Then only we can deploy very impactful programs, initiative, research that we want to deploy under biotechnology sector. And last, we have to make sure it is future-proof. To conduct regular foresighting to ensure the STIE ecosystem is adapting to the change and is able to mitigate risks associated with uncertainties and volatilities. So these are the 6 mechanisms of 10-10. So please go beyond this to this in order for us to repeat whatever success that we heard, pocket of success. Now we have to design it so we can move our country by design and no longer by chance. These are the 30 niche areas that we have identified and it's already accepted by the government. Each industry, research organization, government, public incentive, public research fund should focus on this. The one in the red box is all directly related to biotechnology. So how do we focus? Just like premium tropical fruits, local superfood, premium halal food, high value seafood, just like what GK did in his industry just now that's presented by Dr. Ragu. So these are all the focus area or niche area that we should focus on for the next 5 to 10 years. So we will do, Academy will continuously review this and to make sure it is on track. These are the collaborative platform that we need to bring all the players in order for us to unlock DBM 2.0 to achieve all the targets. We need to have this collaborative platform. We need to bring the connectors, the producers, manufacturers, most of them are from industry, technology providers, financing providers, standard setters and the regulators, supply chain and logistic providers, market access providers, and capacity builders to work together. If Prof. Rofina said supply and change, there is a mismatch. How do we enhance it under capacity building? We have to talk to each other with all these clusters and work together in many, many clusters in biotechnology that we want to develop. Be it in vaccine, be it in food, be it in seafood, so on and so forth. So we need to create this platform, collaborative platform at federal, state and district level and also at regional level. Another problem that Academy see cross-cutting when we do all our policy studies is how do we bridge this innovation chasm? How to bring all 4 quadruple helix to work together and have some sort like an open innovation platform that we can give solutions to issues based on demand-driven or market delivery system of what industry need, or giving solutions to the society or nation what we are facing today. So what we need is to have the solvers and the seekers, to have that intermediaries that connect this both and play more roles in creating experimental development through applied research and also technology transfers. What we need here is most of government agencies, government-linked research organizations that play a role as intermediaries to become the connector. You see, under the platform of collaboratives now, we have to play the role as the connector to bring both parties and for us to translate. If you read 2 days ago, MOF asked us to translate more of our R&D into product and services. So we need to translate this. And how to do that? So we need to put back on track the role of research organization, be it government-linked research organization or all intermediaries and research institute were established before to do public good and return on value. However, today, if you see the conditions of most of our research organizations, they are being evaluated based on return on investment. We are changing their nature to become a business entity rather than a research organization that give public good and return on value. We have to measure their impact through the creative talent that they have spilled over through all the activities, new knowledge that they have discovered, knowledge network and value chain, wealth creation, societal development, branding and positioning for us to attract the foreign direct investment. So these are things that we have to put in place to ensure that we can unlock whatever policy that government has deployed, especially related to science, technology, innovation and economy. Because why? Because we have to change the way we do our research today. We should have focus on solutions for future societies, solutions to problems that we are facing. That's why slowly the Malaysian Grand Challenges Fund under MOSTI, the SRF, is to answer the Malaysian Grand Challenges based on the 30 niche area. That is a very mission-oriented research that gives impact and focus to people-centric, nature-based and values-driven. Only then we can create a systemic change of what we want to have in our ecosystem of R&D. Another new initiative activities that just been approved by Parliament is Malaysian Science Endowment. This is an alternative funding that we need to form starting now in order to ensure we have sustainable funding, not just looking into government funding. If you see in UK, they have Arah, they are using all SES fund that is not being seeked by others in banks. 20% of them, they put under their endowment fund and go towards research. These are things that we need to create in Malaysia in our ecosystem to have a sustainable funding, alternative funding for R&D. So these are some of the sources that we have identified. Now we are talking to MOF, talking to MOSTI, talking to industry. And let us come up with a good program that we can raise fund for endowment. We can do through dormant funds, crowdfunding, industry fund, SES fund, angels, international fund, philanthropy or Islamic sustainable financing, wakaf. So these are some sources that we see, and Akademi has been entrusted by the government to work together with MOSTI in order for us to come up with a good base, a good platform for us to come up with a alternative funding for R&D. So we hope with this, it can mitigate some of the gaps, just like what Dr. Nagu said, RM9, RM8, we got half a billion for R&D for biotech, come to RM10, 12, 20 million. It's not sustained. We cannot have that kind of ecosystem anymore. So let us work together, come up with a good program that we can raise fund internationally, locally, working with LLC and MNCs in the country. So with that, I hope through 1010 MySTI, through all the latest initiative, we can unlock this good policy and creating a systemic change to deliver value, and let us work together using this mechanism and make impact towards, we know Malaysia research fraternity is very small. Our SME is 98.2%. How are we going to make an impact if we don't work together? So this is a mechanism that I hope all of us can take back and work together, network, avoid working in silo and collaborate. With that, I think we are in the right track to unlock the policy of TBN 2.0. Thank you.
Terima kasih Puan Hazami telah mengupas topik ini, dan saya rasa beliau telah berjaya menunjukkan bahawa you need many parameters untuk kami berada di landasan yang betul. Ada beberapa parameter sudah lengkap. Mungkin dari segi keperluan dana, sebab itu kerajaan telah mewujudkan Malaysian Science Endowment. Untuk makluman rakan-rakan, setakat ini ada seorang saja filantropis yang memberi sumbangan kepada dana. That's mendiang Ranjit Bhagwan Singh, seorang penyelidik yang tersohor di IMR, di mana dia telah mendonate, he donated his whole wealth towards this fund. Dan walaupun dana yang diberikan melalui dana this fund, this memorial fund Ranjit Bhagwan Singh tidaklah besar, tapi from my little experience, these small funds are the one that create a lot of impact, rippling effects. And I think because of keikhlasan dia memberi dana itu, that whole dana has got a feel good factor. Jadi hari itu bila kita memberi dana itu kepada pemenang daripada USM, saya telah merayu kepada media masa supaya menulis sebegitu rupa supaya pada hari keesokannya mesti akan mendapat panggilan telefon. Mungkin ada yang tercuit hati untuk memberi dana untuk sains. Tapi setakat ini kami menunggu telefon berbunyi. Alright? So, jika anda yang ingin berbuat demikian, Malaysian Science Endowment adalah satu platform yang baru dipersetujui di peringkat parlimen. And you will get more information about that. Bolehlah, kita bersama-sama memperkasakan pendanaan sains. Dan satu lagi perkara yang menarik perhatian kita ialah, I think agak jelas in many countries, government is not in the business of doing business. Tetapi di sini saya rasa kadang-kala ada mismatch. Seringkali kita melahirkan satu agensi, GLC, CLBG, dan setelah memberi suntikan dana untuk 1-2 tahun, lepas tu kita biarkan agensi tersebut untuk hidup. Dan saya rasa Puan Hazami dalam masa yang diberikan kepada beliau telah melihat kita perlu ada disanjakan paradigma, iaitu daripada return on investment to return on values. Because I think, sebagai contoh, I think we had early GLCs which were involved in internet. And when they managed to pelopor internet and semiconductor, and when the industry picked up, and the industry could go on, move on. So, ini adalah antara perkara yang kita perlu fikirkan bersama dengan central agencies if you are here. We cannot just expect them to go out and make money, and then they start doing things which are not really their core business. So, perkara sebegini rupa juga kita perlu beri perhatian. Jadi, saya berterima kasih pada Puan Hazami kerana mengupas dari segi tersebut. Dan, so if you look at it, I think kalau kita di landasan betul, rasanya landasan ada. Betul tu kita akan bincang juga. I think we are quite there. So, saya buka ketika ini kepada mereka di Dewan ini. Untuk makluman, saya amat berterima kasih kepada mereka online. Kita berterima beratus soalan melalui Slido dan juga Facebook. Sampai ada yang komen Mr. Jiwa smart hari ini. So, itu antara input yang kita dapat di Slido. Tetapi ada there's a few questions, but maybe I'll give the people in this room first a chance. Kenalkan diri dan soalan secara padat. Dan kepada siapa anda tujukan. Nampaknya Isnin baru lepas cuti sekolah, jadi mungkin saya akan ambil soalan daripada Facebook. Saudara Farhan Safwan, terima kasih. Saudara Farhan bertanyakan satu soalan yang mungkin kebanyakan rakyat Malaysia juga akan bertanya. Bagaimana bidang biotek boleh mengurangkan kos import makanan, dan dia telah memberi beberapa angka, ya. So maybe he's asking how biotech can help. Untuk ini saya mungkin akan jemput Dr. Giva, Mr. Giva, on security makanan and cost import makanan. You can use your cordless also if you want. Kita tak sedar ada benda ni ya, jadi boleh. Can you all put Mr. Giva?
Okay, thanks Dr. Nanggu.
Right.
I think when going back to the question of import substitution, I think we are very blessed with so much of land and environmental advantage. I think one of the things we all worried about genetic engineering in the field. I think when it comes to genetic engineering in the past, especially when it comes to genetic modification and the rest of it, banyak yang kita takut. Sebab in the past, banyak yang syarikat-syarikat besar yang monopoli perkara begini. Dan dia ambil penternak atau farmers for sewenang-wenang. Ya. So kalau kita tengokkan dari dasar kita, kalau ada regulatory compliance, kita mana ni boleh longgarkan. Dan perkara ini boleh disampaikan kepada syarikat-syarikat startup, contohnya untuk mengemudi perkara ini dari segi untuk melestarikan pertanian. Contohnya, kita nak ada udang galah dengan omega 3 contohnya, atau banana dengan more vitamin A. So perkara-perkara sebegini memang boleh dipercepatkan dari segi gene editing dan genetic modification. Satu contoh saya nak bagilah kalau boleh. Kita katakan satu plant tu ada 3,000 gene atau nucleotides. Kata nak edit satu gene tu dalam masa 1 saat. Tapi perkara 3,000 bilion gene ni bersamaan dengan 100 tahun. Sebab 100 tahun kita ada 3,000 bilion saat. So kalau diberi peluang, saya rasa banyak syarikat bioteknologi diberi peluang untuk mengambil bahagian dalam untuk menyelesaikan masalah import ni. Saya rasa itu yang paling critical. Because so to sum up, compliance, regulatory, and of course funding ecosystem to support them. I think banyak yang antara orang muda kita berminat. Sebab macam kita bincang tadi, when it comes to gene editing, when it comes to health, you really want to do it, because you're dying of leukemia. But when it comes to food, we have people who are against it for some unknown reasons. But then, I think for farmers to adapt to this, I think that's where social equity comes in, because they can survive with less land and more productivity. I think this is where, technology has to really play a role so that we can do an import substitution.
All right. Terima kasih, Cik Jiwa. Anybody would like to supplement that? Prof. Rofina, silakan.
I think we have to be, as Prof. Hazami said, mission-oriented. Kita kena identify, we cannot do everything, but we have to target what we can do. I mean, take banana, pisang, my area. You look at the supermarket, it's menakutkan. It's all imported banana. We are center of origin of banana, and yet our banana is not good enough for commercial purposes. So improvement needs to be done. Announcement last month, gene editing of banana, the first approved gene editing product, my colleagues are here, has been approved in the United Kingdom by a group of scientists from Israel. I mean, gene-edited banana to solve a problem, our problem of being able to grow it. So we need to invest in research. We need to invest in a mission-oriented research, looking at our problems, and we need to invest substantially. Right. If we don't invest substantially, we're not going to solve this problem. And that includes having facilitative regulation. So just like banana, I have to go to mana-mana nak cari pisang emas. It's like, and they're selling lakatan in supermarket as pisang emas. It's even wrong branding, and we're accepting it. So,
right, thank you. I think pisang emas sebab sudah dibawa berlayar kan, jadi tak ada.
Tapi
sementara saya harap ada audience yang nak bertanya soalan. Yes. Just introduce yourself and to whom.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. And my name is Raza. I'm from Medica Natura.
Right.
I would like to take a cue from Dr. Charlie Yeo, because you're involved in the area that we are also involved extensively in botanical drugs development. If we all notice that recently MOH released healthcare costs related to CVD, NCD, non-communicable disease that costs us about 22 billion ringgit.
Correct.
Cancer, diabetic, and another one CVD. And I believe, as Dr. Charlie mentioned, that you must have found something interesting from the indigenous practices that we could commercialize and turn it into a botanical therapeutic product. So I would like to hear from Dr. Charlie is how do we, as a country, start recognizing this and incorporated therapeutic natural product in our healthcare management system, because currently everything is imported. Everything. Our healthcare costs, healthcare security are totally depending on foreign solutions. So how do we do that through NBP? Thank you.
Right, terima kasih Saudara Razak, dan soalan yang agak sama is online as well. So mungkin Charlie and maybe some others can take up.
Okay, I'm not very sure about the numbers, but one of the ways that, as I mentioned just now, as a start, we can look within, right? We started with traditional knowledge. What does traditional knowledge does? It's a shortcut, really, in terms of scientific investigation. Shortcut to indicate to us what are the potential of some of the plant species that has been used. Now, coming back to, you're talking about CBD means hemp and marijuana, right? Is that what was mentioned? Yeah, it is, right? So you'd be surprised that if you ask the indigenous community, what are the psychoactive plants that you have taken? They'll tell you. They'll tell you ones that works on them, ones that works on their animals, like buffaloes, and some of them I try it, just to figure out whether it works or not. Even by the name of the species of the plant itself, you can guess. Like a plant species like Psychotria something, it does have some kind of a psychoactive effect. Now, how do we go from there to reduce the import, to reduce the kind of medicinal that we can develop ourselves? It takes a long time. I would say that it'll take a very, very long time, but it's not impossible. Why? If you look at a species of plant called, local call it dragon's blood, all right? Dragon's blood is used in China. It's very well commercialized. They love it. They will go after it. However much you can produce, they'll buy it from you. Now, why is it so popular there? And why is it that when the things that we have here, we cannot develop it and use it ourselves? These are the kind of things I'm trying to address your question here. I think I'll stop it there, and if there's something else that others can contribute, I'll chip in again.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Charlie. Somebody would like to supplement?
Anybody?
Right. I think that's a very pertinent question, on alternative medical systems to supplement or to support allopathy. I think some countries in this region have done much better. For example, India, they've got a whole ministry called Ayush to promote Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha, Yoga, all these alternative medical systems, which seems to be as effective as allopathy is. So in this country, I think one of the things that probably I hope is in this policy is to also recognize these complementary medicine systems, and we have got amazing traditional knowledge around there that could be mainstreamed, and with the input of biotech, it could be a product or a service to address non-communicable disease. But it needs a lot of effort, because you see what happens is in the international market, we hear about Ayurvedic products, we hear about jamu from Indonesia, but Malaysia's bio products do not have a kind of branding. That's another thing that we need to think about and make it more regularized. Recently, unfortunately, there was a documentary done by a neighboring country putting us in a very bad light, showing that how easy you go down to Nilai, to one of the manufacturers, they ask you, they give you you nak bina komputer kan, nak berapa ROM, nak berapa hard drive. Dia tanya, you nak ubat you untuk cantik, untuk slimming, untuk putih, they just stick and they give you a capsule. All you need to get is get an artist to promote that product, and that's your herbal product. And it was very badly, you can Google this in YouTube, it's there. it puts us in a very bad light. And this was done by one of our neighbors. So this is what they did is not wrong, but they just at least giving us a wake-up call that we need to get our act together. Any other questions from the floor? Kalau tidak, ada satu soalan yang sangat trending, maybe to give chance. I see a hand, but I'll give. Soalan ini telah mendapat sambutan yang luar biasa. Terdapat lambakan graduan PhD dalam bidang biotek yang tidak mempunyai pekerjaan tetap. Lambakannya, PhD dalam biotek, adakah Malaysia bersedia untuk memberi insentif yang selari dengan kepakaran ini? Ini mungkin Prof. Rofina kot.
Saya ada pendapat saja. Lambakan tu saya rasa a little bit unreal. My question is expectation daripada PhD. I mean, when we look at a PhD as an expert, and an expert would like to, of course, be able to use his expertise. So di Malaysia ni masalahnya ada dua lah. Okay, kita tidak cukup peluang pekerjaan untuk experts ni di sektor swasta. You have to admit it. The industry is not ready to pay for these experts. They're not. Yeah, okay. So we all have to take collective responsibility. Kita kata kita nak anak-anak kita berjaya di peringkat yang tertinggi, tapi we are not in our environment itself, industry itself, willing to really invest in this talent to help your company or your industry grow. And I wonder why. You know, it's really impossible for them to get a reasonably paying job with their qualification in industry in Malaysia, as a research scientist or as an expert. For instance, dalam healthcare pun, how many? One of the stumbling blocks that Cik Razak didn't mention is that there is no funding and there's no pathway for clinical trials in any sort of big way in Malaysia. Although kita dah ada CRM and all that, but companies that will invest in clinical trials that needs the experts like our PhD holders, tak ada. That's why they have to leave the country. That's the reality of it. And you know, so what do you want universities to do, Prof. Othman? Are we supposed to stop our PhD programs? I mean, but that's the kind of level of research we're doing. Tapi there's no matching level of jobs in industry. Is it the university's fault? I want to play a bit devil. Is it the university's fault that there's no jobs in industry suitable for our PhD, our experts? I mean, it's a question. Otherwise, we should stop our PhD program.
Sebentar, I mean, mungkin Puan Hazami akan beri sedikit.
Sensitif.
Okay, sorry. I think nak kata ada lambakan kalau dekat akademi when we advertise our job, no less than 20 PhD is applying academy. But when we see the landscape, almost 99% of business enterprise in Malaysia are small, medium enterprises. Out of that, only 27,000 that is technology based. Okay, so we have a very small number of MNCs and LLC that maybe have R&D arm. SME, I think the percentage lagi sikit sajalah. We don't have that kind of R&D arms that need PhDs. When you ask most of the PhD holders, why you take PhD? Because saya tak dapat kerja lepas degree, I buat master, I terus buat PhD. Setengah jawab, because I want doctor in front of my name. True, this is the mindset of the things. That's why if you see government now under super, we encourage these startups. We need this all PhD to have the entrepreneur mindset, to become a technopreneur, and create this kind of company that needs PhD holders, that needs masters. If you see, I just have a brainstorm with Dato' Asmah last weekend on STEM. Graduates, first degree, gaji 1,500 to 2,000 ringgit. That is average in the industry. So PhD. So these are the kind of landscape of situation that we're having now. Our researcher in business enterprise is only 15%. 72.9% is in Institute of Higher Learning. That is a situation. That is our landscape. we need to flip. We need to increase researchers at business enterprise. When we compare Malaysia with Singapore, Singapore researchers in business enterprise is 60%. That's why they can translate. That's why the bridge that I show, they can translate it. The innovation chasm is bridged in there. So we need this entity in our ecosystem in order to translate. To do that, how to do that? This is where we have to create more and more startups. Technology-based startups, new companies, because most, if you do profile of that 99% SME, most of them are traders. So we need this knowledge-based enterprise in order of this lambakan PhD have a place. So that is what we need to do, create that ecosystem. When we have the right ecosystem, then only business enterprise will take the risk. Kalau tidak, tak ada safety net, there is no ecosystem, the risk is too high, then we cannot create this new economy. So these are things that we need to work together to create it. Thank you.
Right, terima kasih Puan Hazami. Saya nampak tadi ada. Oh, dah tak ada dah. Ya, mungkin Cik Giva silakan.
Off again. Alright. So, just to echo to Prof. Yasmin and Dr. tadi, I think the lambakan of PhD is there, and yes, we can create startups, but the primary premise is whether the funding ecosystem is ready. You know, it's not every single startup government agencies can pour money into. This is where private funds come in, you know, venture capitalists come in. From my little experience, what I experienced that to date, the innovations we create in terms of biotech, especially in Malaysia, is not sexy enough for investors to put in money. That's the truth, yeah? Because there is no 10x return. Because what we are doing is really tech for good, yeah? Tech for good doesn't really need to give you 10x return in just next 3 years. We will be bluffing our numbers. We have seen companies in Singapore, how they have bluffed their numbers to project trajectory of company value at $1 billion. Right? I think this is where the local graduates, we want localized technology because technology is getting cheaper. The first time we sequence human genome is about $1 billion. Now we can sequence things within 10,000-20,000 ringgit. I think as biodiversity adds to it, it has a lot of potential, but again, goes back dollars and cents. So we can't push everything to the government to fund everybody, but I think this is where private big corporations also, we got this sort of ESG now coming out. Everybody rush into it. But then there is no real fundamental frameworks or mechanisms how we can actually have ESG experts, for instance, to audit the ESG standards in industry. Yeah.
So that's why, when people say that there's no deal flows in Malaysia, there's nothing to invest in Malaysia. It's because we don't grow our companies to be innovative. The reality is that the majority of companies in Malaysia want to make a quick buck. That's fine. But and innovation takes time, right? And investment and people. And so when we did the DBN, we were building the human capital. But somehow the industry wants to take a shortcut, not to be innovative. And then, our investors also then say, well, then there's no deal flow in Malaysia. Invest in technology outside, then buy it back in and use it. And the end, wonder why our brain drain, why our researchers go out. Because actually our brain drain are working on the innovations that we're going to buy back later at a higher cost to Malaysia. And our investors funding the research there so that then we can buy back at higher cost. So, we are contributing, so we have to change. We have to do the paradigm change. We have to come back and do it in Malaysia. Yeah.
Right. Terima kasih, Prof. Anyone else? Charlie?
There's a question. Hello.
Yes, hi, sorry.
Hi, selamat pagi. The name is Gan. I have some question and also some reflection. Actually, sebenarnya I was the one yang Mr. Giva yang mentioned who did the genome of the udang-galah. I'm a JPA scholar. I got my undergrad in the United States. It's funded by the government. I came back here to Malaysia, did my PhD locally. And then I went to the Australia, learn a thing or two, but I decided to come back. So I am the opposite of brain drain. I come back. But that's not it, actually. I just want to share a few things from the discussion in the forum. Number one is about education, undergrad education in Malaysia. My take is that it's not that university is to be blamed 100% ke macam. Let's not point fingers, kan? Opportunity is there in the university, but you have to take that opportunity to learn. I can get a PhD in University Technology in Malaysia. I'm proud of it. People ask you where I get my PhD from. I'm proud to say that I'm a local PhD grad. There's nothing to be ashamed of, actually. And the research that I did, published. I did it myself. I don't rely on people, and I don't even have a government fund or grant to do it. No MOSTI. I went to MOSTI, got rejected. I stay back. I don't have any grant. My stipend is not paid. My mom paid for my 500 ringgit a month, but I made it. And I'm standing here, standing up strong to say that I want to do something for Malaysia juga. So I came back. Today, I represent GK Aqua, but I may not represent it 100% of the time. I got also my plan for Malaysia. Okay, back to this question, kan. I think it's what can we actually do more to actually encourage the undergrad in Malaysia? I'm very undergrad-centric because to me, education has to start from the beginning. Sebab the masalah macam ni, kalau semua undergrad rasa kalau buat biotek hanya nak jadi PhD, jadi doktor, lepas tu jadi lecturer, bagi mami yang jadi proud, then it's a very big problem. Because it's never crossed my mind to stay in the university for the rest of my life. I come out here in the industry. For your information, I was one of the chief scientific officer of Gene 6 Sendirian Berhad. We are one of the company, I would say, to pioneer or rather to encourage Malaysian researchers to actually use a new sequencing technology to sequence COVID-19 virus. It changes the whole landscape. What I'm trying to do here is I think the important key thing is to believe in your own country. We are in a very good place. So, persoalannya, what can we do actually to encourage undergrad to share the same understanding and the passion? Sebab we come back for a reason, and I think kalau kita tak buat apa-apa kan, the brain drain will happen, and we have to do something about it. And I also would like to take this opportunity to market myself, market my knowledge, not to say market, but encourage people to kind of work together lah. I can do genome, I can do it very quickly, I can do it at a fraction of the cost that what other people are doing it right now. If you have any question, I'm happy to collaborate. If you're Malaysian, I'm happy to share knowledge. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gan. The organizers will send you an invoice for taking our time to market. No, I'm just joking, but fantastic job you're doing there. Just to supplement Gan's question, somebody asked whether, besides having a knowledge in science, can the young graduates be given other knowledge like business skills and all that? So can you all answer Gan's question together with something that came online? Mr. Giva, maybe?
So currently we are doing a training program with MOSTI and Cradle. We are training about 100 graduates. The whole goal of the training program just not to be extension service of the university, but to come up with more problem statements in terms of solving the issue using biotech approach. And that's cohesively, holistically looking at entrepreneurship as a journey. Like where we started as a day one, get bullied by people with money, and then you did all the wrong things, and then by the time you realize that that's not a way, it all took time. So that's the experience we're trying to put forward in this program, so that every entrepreneurs, they know their goals. We can't guide 100%, but sharing the experience, I think the key, Dr. Nagu, and I think that's what we are trying to do the best to really, encourage more involvement of youngsters in business. Yeah.
Can Charlie go then?
Charlie. Just a very quick one. At SPC, we do have a lot of interns who are almost at the end run of their graduate degree, bachelor's. They'll come to SPC and they'll work for 3 months. What we noticed that what they lack in terms of exposure is really the hands-on. handling machines, handling analytical equipment and all that. So we don't intend to teach what the university had taught them. So that was one of the areas that we really pushed them through. You run the machine 24/7, you know, and then you get the data, and then you work on it. And one more thing that we did, excuse me, was we sent them to the rainforest. And that's something that really changed their perspective of what science is all about.
Send them to the
And
rainforest.
the experience they have coming out of that pretty much give them a very different outlook in life and outlook in getting a job. Although they might not think that science would mean going to the jungle all the time. Science can be in the laboratory. So it's a shot. If they are suitable for it, they are aligned for it, then they are really encouraged. But if it's not for them, then they'll move on to something else.
Cuma di ketika ini, Saudara Lawrence, boleh kita ambil masa 10 minit lagi?
Boleh.
Alright, dia telah beri kebenaran. Prof. Rofina?
So satu, it's very important this thing about undergraduate education. I think biotech is, and in DBN too, we have to do paradigm shifts in how we educate our undergraduate biotech. There has to be more exposure to industry so that both sides can be part of this talent process. Dr. Wan Zohanis actually is the person I'm going to call because you know, at MOHI, they've been developing a lot of alternative ways of doing degree programs which make it closer to industry, right? Voice program. I'm very excited about an entrepreneur program, apprentice program where apprentices do a degree with the university but is at industry. And this may be suitable for biotech, which is just learning how to use technology students, you know, to have the student be in and out of, not just for internship, but throughout their degree program to be working with industry. I don't know, I seek a comment from Dr. Wan, because she's been working on huge programs for MOHI on this kind of model, and I think this model is great for biotech.
Silakan, Doktor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Panel pun boleh tanya soalan kali ini.
Tanya first. But expert ada situ kan, bukan sini.
Thank you, Prof. Rofina. I was just going to highlight on the experiential learning and competency-based education landscape. That just now, Dr. Gan mentioned about how he wants to emphasize on the undergraduate studies. That's why when MOHI launched the experiential learning and competency-based education landscape, or in short what we call as EXCEL, we focus on the 4 thrusts, which is industry, research, community, and flexibility, which is personalized. And the experiential learning that we want to introduce, it is actually an initiative to transform the current academic program based on the 4 thrusts. Industry-driven experiential learning, for example, or what we call as IDEAL, focusing on how we can provide opportunity for the students to have immersive industry experience. Before this, we have what we call 2U 2I or 3U 1I, industry, 1 year in the industry. But we want our students to have more exposure as early as possible and not at the end of the studies. So we introduce this IDEAL. And in IDEAL, we have also what we call as cooperative program, which is, as mentioned by Prof. Rofina, on the apprenticeship program. We're going, we have one university is going to launch the program, apprenticeship program, UTHM with McDonald's, for example. Minimum 70% students will be in the industry. Now, the question is, are the industry ready to accept all students as early as possible and not just at the end of the studies? How can the industries be involved at a higher, at a level, to be more involved in
developing or co-develop the modules or the syllabus together with the universities. As mentioned again by Prof. Rofina, to produce this talent, to produce the graduates that fulfill the requirement by the industry is not the responsible of the universities alone, but it needs the collective effort. And through research-infused experiential learning, REAL, also we introduced 7 levels of industry experience for the students. That where also we need to identify where can this industry come in and support this. So, we can explore more about this Excel, not just with MOSTI, but with other agencies and also industries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Anyone else who's got a burning question? So what's come up online is people asking the role of science communication in helping many of the things that Giva was talking about, gene engineering and all this gene editing, science communication. And there's a specific question to Puan Hazami on how do you calculate ROV. So just these 2 questions, maybe on science communication, if someone wants to go first. Puan Hazami juga? Ataupun?
Okay.
Silakan.
Thank you, Dr. Nagu. We are now in the midst of doing one paper called Government Linked Research Organization Evaluation on how we want to calculate ROV. The ROV, if you remember the slide that I showed just now, we can calculate impact that the research organization have done on creative talent, supply and demand, new knowledge, knowledge network and value chain, wealth creation. These are the parameters that we can calculate. We have calculated this. I think CEO CRES is here. CRES have done their calculation and they have 11 times, 12 times of what investment that they have done in the area of E&E or gain on gain. Same we also have done to STC. We have calculated whatever government have invest, we can calculate the return on value. And for STC, we have calculated from 2006 to 2020 data, they have gained 33 times on these 6 parameters that we have calculated in terms of giving impact in the ecosystem of E&E or semiconductor. So that is how we can calculate, and we are now trying to present this to the central agency, EPU and MOF. If this formula is accepted and the parameter is accepted, we would like all this research organization to be evaluated based on the ROV. Then you can see how they bring and create the right ecosystem to bring in the FDI, to enhance the local industry, and to enhance the local research that we want to create in Malaysia. So that's how we create the ROV, Dr. Nagu. Right. I can't remember the first question.
Science communication, the role there.
Science communication is very important. In the Academy, we promote science communication. We even develop a module of science communication. We have a book that our Young Scientist Network have developed it for 5 years to come up with this science communications. Because once we want to, just like what the CEO of GK interpret about gene editing, things like that, how to educate and give understanding to the public for them to understand the technology and accept it. So these are things that we need to train our scientists to be more savvy in communicating using layman's word. For example, maybe this is out of biotechnology, just like a Linus issue, we need to show the differentiation of radiation and radioactive. This is 2 different things. But once media give misinterpretation or public have misunderstanding, the chemical plants become a reactor plant of nuclear power. So this will stall certain things that we want to push, let's say in our E&E or semiconductor industry. So these are things that how important science communication is for us to relay the information that is easy to understand and not to be misunderstood. So these are few things, initiative under Academy that we are doing together with our arm of Young Scientist Network. going from university to universities to have this more people practicing this science communication module, and vice versa. We are also reaching out to the media practitioners and public and policy makers using this. Thank you.
Right, terima kasih. Saya rasa I think that's all the time we have for questions. So saya akan cuba rungkaikan. Saya rasa persoalan saya tadi, adakah kami di landasan yang betul? Saya rasa kami berada di landasan, tapi berada di atas landasan pun kereta api itu kena bergerak. So perlu ada action, perlu ada bahan api. Untuk itu saya rasa kita perlu ada kerangka polisi yang jelas. Tapi seringkali kerangka polisi kita itu tidak mempunyai indikator-indikator untuk mengukur milestone kita. Jadi saya berharap kepada pewaris dasar ini, sediakanlah indikator-indikator dengan milestone yang jelas supaya kita boleh monitor, review and verify. Kalau tidak, kita ada dasar yang very broad dan we think that the dasar will be moving on its own. So ini sangat penting. Ya. You have to have monitoring, review and verification of the dasar. Saya rasa kita ada kerangka regulasi yang agak kukuh dan juga institutional yang agak kukuh. Tapi saya amat menyuruh pada agensi-agensi pusat mungkin perlu berbicara dengan Akademi Sains tentang isu ROV ini. Sebab kalau kita mengharapkan institusi-institusi tajaan kerajaan untuk menjana kekayaan, saya rasa itu satu perkara yang sangat sukar dan akan menyebabkan kita terderail daripada landasan. Ya, jadi itu penting. Seterusnya saya rasa yang perlu diperkasakan lagi ialah ekosistem dana, dan untuk itu kerajaan telah menyediakan Malaysian Science Endowment, dan jika ada yang tercuit hati untuk menderma, dipersilakan. Kita perlukan the industry to come forward because I think the industry is spending very little on funding, and akan keluar satu kajian oleh MOSTI dalam bulan ini tentang how much industry is doing innovation, and itu akan menyebabkan kita terkejut. Alright, so I won't reveal the figures now, but nantikan kajian yang akan diterbitkan tidak lama lagi. Dan saya rasa satu perkara yang sangat penting, kita ada the 10-10 indicator which is very good. We got the 30 niche areas. Tapi perkara yang sangat penting, we cannot be doing everything. Itu saya rasa salah satu yang telah dapat kita lihat daripada panel ini. Kita kena ada prioritization mengikut state dan locality. Dan selari dengan itu, saya rasa Malaysia ni sama ada landasan betul tu saya rasa bukan persoalan lagi sebab we are blessed with amazing biodiversity seperti mana digariskan oleh semua keempat-empat panel. Jadi we also need to look at underutilized crops, and which is I think tidak ada tumpuan lah buat masa ini ya, walaupun satu ketika dulu ada tumpuan, tapi we need to give a radar to underutilized crops which could be future crops. Dan seperkara lagi yang dibincangkan ialah tentang talent. Tadi ada perkataan lambakan, tetapi Prof kata tak ada lambakan. So di sini saya rasa matching, reskilling, upskilling. Nowadays education is just not you get a degree and you move on and you will be relevant forever. No, right? Because things are moving. Untuk itu, sekali lagi promosi bagi MOSTI. Kita ada program Deep Tech Future Skill di mana kita menawarkan kepada 5,000 golongan belia dengan suntikan dana sebanyak 6,000 seorang untuk reskill them and upskill them. And for example, GK Aqua is reskilling some of the biotech people on aquaculture. We are working with Huawei to reskill some of our IT graduates to meet the needs of the industry. So these are things that we need to do. And I think perkara yang sangat penting is we need continuity of this policy. Kita tidak boleh macam chip semua ya, sekejap ada, sekejap tak ada. So untuk itu secara terbuka we need leadership at all levels and political will. And I think this science communication yang disulami dengan science policy interface sangat penting. Sebab policy done without science can be quite tricky. Dan saya akhiri dengan one of my favorite scientists, Peter Pyatt. Peter Pyatt is the scientist who found Ebola, but he crumbled and he passed on because of COVID. He said this, science without politics is useless. Politics without science can be dangerous. With that, thank you all. You guys have been really great. And kepada yang berada di atas talian, terima kasih. Dan terima kasih kepada penganjur. Dan saya terima kasih kepada panel yang telah bersabar untuk bersama kita dan juga penonton. Kembali kepada saudara Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence. Back to you.
Terima kasih. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kita berikan tepukan gemuruh untuk moderator dan panelis atas perkongsian sebentar tadi. Begitulah berakhirnya sesi forum dasar bioteknologi 2.0. Terima kasih tidak terhingga kepada Yang Berusaha Dr. Nagulendran dan para panel yang sudi bersama kita pada hari ini. Sebagai menghargai para panel kita, majlis menjemput Yang Berusaha Puan Nordina Idris, Setiausaha Bahagian Teknologi Strategik dan Aplikasi S&T MOSTI ke pentas untuk acara berikutnya. Dipersilakan. Dipersilakan Puan Nordina Idris untuk memberikan cedera hati kepada moderator Yang Berusaha Dr. Nagulendran, Timbalan Ketua Setiausaha Perancangan dan Pembudayaan MOSTI. Seterusnya kepada Profesor Dr. Rofina Yasmin Othman dari Universiti Malaya. Diikuti dengan Dr. Charlie Yeo dari Sarawak Biodiversity Center. Dipersilakan Encik Giva Kuppusamy dari GK Aqua Sdn Bhd. Seterusnya kepada Puan Hazami Habib dari Akademi Sains Malaysia. Terima kasih daun keladi diucapkan. Terima kasih juga kepada Puan Nordina Idris atas penyempurnaan acara sebentar tadi. Majlis seterusnya akan berhenti sebentar bagi makan tengah hari dan solat. Sebagai makluman, makan tengah hari disediakan di bilik mawar yang terletak di hujung Dewan Tun Hussein On ini, manakala surau pula terletak di Arah 3. Kita akan berjumpa semula di Dewan ini pada pukul 2 petang. Sekian, terima kasih.